Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about a follow-up to the matchup video I did last week, I think. A lot of people left different comments, so I decided to check to see if those are viable in order to provide more information for you guys. Andoru, and his comment says, he started with, for Luke when they like to fake fireball to evade your parry and waste your meter, you can always buffer a dash when you parry so you can still advance if they decide to fake fireball. Sure way to punish Marisa, super low 1 and 2 with wheel kick. For Ryu when they like to use solar plexus, hard to interrupt. Doing DI is not a good idea, but parry is the best option for it. For some reason, perfect parry is easy for solar plexus. If you don't get perfect parry, it's fine. It's the same as blocking without it eating your dry gauge. And for Ken, you can space in between the hits of Jinrai, the SPD. If they space it, be careful though, since they can only do the first part to bait your SPD. He says that basically you should always, or a good idea would be to hold the parry, because if you tap the parry for a perfect parry, this will not work, so you need to hold the parry and drive rush afterwards. Buffer a dash when you parry. Okay, this is a different to what I expected, but let's test two things. What he means by fake fireball is look light fireball, because this thing doesn't go as far. So this is technically the fake one, because otherwise I don't think he has any other fake fireball, like throwing punches, I guess. But I feel he means light fireball. Not necessarily how it works, because if you tap parry and you buff the dash, your dash is gonna come after the recovery of the parry, and the recovery of the parry, as you guys know, is kinda long. So this is not it. No, you're gonna be really minus. That's not a good idea. The other thing is doing a drive rush, like holding the parry and drive rush. That's different because you are gonna do it technically. You hold the parry, you don't see the hit, and you drive rush. Now that is both a good thing and a bad thing. Luke in this case has really good buttons, so he can stop your drive rush if you don't press the right button. So for example, Luke can go for something like this and mash the crouching medium punch. So the issue is, if you tap parry, you cannot dash. You should get the perfect parry. But if you get the perfect parry, that has to be a real fireball in order to connect with Zangief. Since we're talking about fake ones, the only thing you can do, technically, is doing this, and then drive rush. But let's say you still do it a little bit late and you use standing medium punch, because for this situation that might be the best one. You can sometimes still catch Luke. However, this is pretty dangerous because the Luke player can press nothing, or they can just wait. The light fireball recovers in 29 frames, so probably for this one you might just as well walk. Perfect parry and walk, because this is not gonna be the right idea if you really want to catch this guy. You can drive rush afterwards, but you have to do it extremely fast if you want to punish Luke, but that's still not the case, because let's test this. Now I'm gonna block without doing anything. You'll see that it is pretty hard to catch Luke. Andoru is totally right. You can use wheel kick to punish those. You'll see that if we do it here. You can. Absolutely viable. The issue with solar plexus is that Ryu's plus. So sure, you don't take drive gauge, but what's the point? You don't take 50%. That's fine, but you're still gonna be minus. You'll see that the difference is mostly the pushback. Here, I'm not in throw range if I basically just block it. And if I parry it, I can throw Ryu. However, he's +3. So if you hold the parry, he's gonna be closer to you. And plus. So sure, you don't take the dry gauge damage from the solar plexus, but he's gonna be in a better position than if you block it. This is as hard as anything. You're not gonna get it all the time. So either you try to perfect parry it, you get a parry where Ryu is technically in a better position, or you do it late and he's still +3, but you have a little bit more spacing. So I'd say that's not necessarily the best idea to deal with that move. The best way to deal with that move is stop Ryu from doing it in the first place. And if you can and you get used to it, perfect parry it. Now, I know this for a fact because we talked about this on stream. There's no space between the medium Jinrai and light Jinrais. So you cannot use SPD. That's a fact. So for example, if Ken goes for the medium Jinrai into the light one, you cannot SPD that thing. And I think Andoru already knows. And the issue is can always go for the medium one into the light one, or the medium one, medium one heavy. So you're not gonna be able to SPD. You can, however, if for some weird reason the game player wants to do light Jinrai, you can SPD though. However, again, the game player doesn't need to go for light Jinrai because the medium one is the one he uses from mediums, from frame traps from lights, from heavies. So it's gonna be very weird for him, unless you're in burnout, I guess. It's gonna be really weird for Ken players to go for the light Jinrai. And sure, the medium one is -7. If he doesn't go for anything else, you can technically SPD here, but as you know, with Ken players, you never know. He can go for the follow-up, or you're gonna second guess yourself and then he's gonna walk and throw you. Unless obviously he whiffs the medium one, which is kinda hard to whiff. If I'm being honest, the thing has so more range. So for him to whiff this would be extremely weird, but technically you can if the Ken player whiffs the medium Jinrai, but no. You cannot SPD between them unless he starts with light Jinrai. Now, let's move on to Ghost 2594. Against Terry, if they're using point blank power wave for Oki, you can PP it on reaction. Perfect parry. How easy it is to perfect parry. It's a very simple meaty for Terry. Let's see if we can perfect parry it. It's not as easy as I thought. There you go. Everything you parry on Wake Up, if you do manage to get the perfect parry, is good for Zangief. You can do a back throw, maybe a super level 3 if you need. So I do agree it is easier to see and to hear. I can give you that. But I don't think it's as easy or as simple as it seems. Move has 9 active frames, so it is pretty easy to at least regular parry, but he's plus, so you don't want that. I'd say with practice, you can parry more or less anything if you really put your mind into it. But I'd say compared to any other situation with Zangief, perfect parry is always a good call. So this is not necessarily specific to Terry. If you can get a perfect parry against any other character, is as good as you can get. Lorden95. One thing to know about the Aki matchup is that you can't SPD her through her slow fireball, as she drives rushes behind it. You can't. Good thing to use sometimes to make her second guess herself when trying to apply pressure. I think Lorden is saying you can SPD, but maybe he auto-corrected. That has happened to me thousands of times, so you don't need to drive rush after it. She can pretty much do whatever she wants in this matchup. But you can SPD, and that's true. However, you'll see that the fireball is kind of difficult to SPD through. You have to be like over here. And at that point, I don't know if it's worth it. Trying to go for an SPD. At that point, why would the Aki player go for a drive rush? The OD one, which is the most common one and the most dangerous for Zangief. I don't know why she would drive rush without pressing buttons, but I guess that's possible. Usually Aki players try to drive rush with an intent. They don't just drive rush afterwards. She might use the whip. She wants to drive rush after the fireball. There's not really a necessity for her to follow the fireball that closely. It is possible. Be careful though. She can also use other methods to escape the SPD. She doesn't need to follow the fireball with the drive rush. Be extra careful. This is possible, but you need a lot of space. Manatee. This is from the Discord though, so this is an extra one. Big thing for the Manon Burnout 5 MP spam. Standing heavy punch beats it clean. The standing medium punch from Manon is 7 frames. This is gonna be +3 every time you do the standing medium punch. What does that mean? You have 4 frames to do something. That is pretty good, so it means you can use the armor with the standing heavy punch. There's a slight issue here, and the issue is that Manon can't confirm the standing medium punch. It is pretty hard, but she can confirm this into specials. But it is pretty hard. I'd say it's not gonna happen that often. However, again, she has another thing. And the standing medium kick, the target combo, that comes from the standing medium punch, she can delay it a lot. So that's the major issue here. If she sees the standing heavy punch, even though it's kind of fast, but for some reason, if she sees the standing medium punch, the standing heavy punch, she can go for the delay target combo and she will beat your standing heavy punch. I do have to preface this by saying that's not necessarily going to happen unless the Manon player knows the ins and outs of this matchup. So you can perfectly do most of the time standing heavy punch. She will not know. But you need to know that she has a response against the standing medium, the standing heavy punch. Now, if the Manon player does this, she's gonna be -1, so it's not good for her. However, again, and now I have to change characters. And that's gonna be a counter hit. I'd say do it. Just be careful, because if the Manon player knows this, they're gonna punish you counter hit, and that's a guaranteed crouchy light kick, or crouchy light kick, crouchy light punch into a combo. RickWa says, so for Lily, I heard you can super level 1 her Spire if you got good reactions, but that matchup is still ass for Zangief. Yes, you can super level 1 the Spire. As he says, it's kind of difficult to do. But you can super level her Spire. That's true. For JP involving his Super Q, I heard there's a specific point to where you can jump out of his Super Q, as long as you're not getting hit. I forgot when specifically, but you can avoid not having to deal with JP whole super level 2. Jump forwards immediately and walk forwards? You don't get hit by it. Now if you wait for the first attack to connect, you can still jump. You can also jump from the second one. Everything is real. You can't do all of those things. You have to be extra careful, because the issue is not necessarily escaping the super, because the JP player has all the advantage here. So he can just wait, see your jump, and you're probably gonna be dead anyway. So I'd say you can. You have to deal more. The super level 2 is more about dealing with what JP wants to do. Ricniclas. Against Chun-Li and instant air legs, I recommend not using Lariat and instead going for grounded punish. The eye is actually a pretty consistent punish if they whiff it. Let's start by the obvious. If the Chun-Li player you're fighting against really knows how to use the instant air legs, she's gonna be -21. Yeah, she recovers in 21 frames. So for you to hit her with the eye, first of all, she needs to be relatively close to you, because Zangief the eye is not necessarily the longest one in the game. In fact, it's kind of short. So at this range, you'll see that you can whiff your DI. So that's the first issue. The second issue is she recovers in 21 frames. However, she did an air attack. So she has a couple of frames where she can get hit by attacks and get punish countered. The issue is, again, doing the DI at the proper range and proper time. If you do it late, she's gonna be able to block it. In fact, she can mash the eye and counter your DI. However, if you see her in the air, and this is important, and this is one of the reasons why sound cues are so significant in this game, if you hear her going for the instant air legs, she only hits you twice at this distance and at this height. So you can go for the eye when she's in the air, and while she's recovering, while she's not necessarily recovering, but she's going down, then you hit her with the eye. You're not waiting for the whole recovery frames, you're attacking when she just starts going down, which I guess is still recovery frames in a way. There you go. And regarding not using the Lariat, well, when she's close to you, it's actually pretty easy to Lariat, so I don't see the issue with using the Lariat, especially OD Lariat, because it gets you the 2 hits. You can get into super level 2, super level 1. I don't think you have to actively avoid the Lariat, but you can DI. Now, one extra thing I have to mention is that she recovers in 21 frames. So if for some reason you don't get the DI, you can still punish her with other things. Specifically, and the best one here, I feel, is either heavy punch, standing heavy punch, or sweep. This is pretty easy, even easier to get than actually a DI, or even headbutt sometimes, depending on how close you are. But yep, you can get some interesting punishes if you see her whiffing. Now, all of this is considering the Chun-Li player, for some reason, is whiffing the instant air legs at that distance, which again, I don't think is a good thing to do if you're a Chun-Li player, so I'm gonna say this is not gonna happen that often. And the second thing is, she has to do it perfectly like that. The Chun-Li player you're going against does the instant air legs like over here. Well, at that point, you might as well use a standing heavy kick or driver's headbutt, because this is pretty bad. Yeah, now you're recovering pretty high and pretty bad. That is probably a chunky player that is learning the character, but the better chunky players are not gonna jump that high. Just go for the most instant air legs possible. Now the final thing I have to say is what happens if he does it close. Can you DI that? You can, but you have to delay it a little bit. Be careful, because if you're crouching, she will recover. If you're standing, at that point, she will be -3, so she can basically respond to your DI. So you need to delay it, crouching, and then you can punish. But again, at this point, you can't just area it. Some random dude, you are absolutely right. I said the bot slam was -1, but you are actually, well, you are -1. The Honda player is +1. Also, the OD version is +2. Now, the pressure he has from this is pretty freaking bad. That's probably the best thing. You'll see that Crouching Light Punch does not work. He has to use a Standing Light Punch, which is 5 frames. Crouching Light Kick does not work. Standing Light Kick does not work. He can whiff it if he doesn't control the thing correctly. But he's gonna be +2, and then here he can use Crouching Light Punch. And, well, I guess that's good for him, but what's he gonna do? This? I don't think Honda has the best pressure, but you're right. Some random dude, 821, you're right. It is +1 and +2 if he uses meter. If you ever want to provide feedback, please do so. We reached 2,000 subscribers. I'm so happy. Thank you all for, well, using your free time for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. I always recheck my information just in case there's something I missed or something that needs to be added, like a few things we talked today. Take care as always again. Have fun. Hydrate, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.